talk on the importance of international collaboration. Jacinta.
Hi everybody, and thanks very much for the invite to Fionnuala, and I'm very pleased to be here to talk as my role in the operations team in Cancer Trials Ireland about the importance of collaborations to us. When I looked at our portfolio that we currently have in Cancer Trials Ireland, over 30% of the trials that we have opened are due to collaborations. So it's really, we wouldn't be where we are without them. So I want to go through really where we are now at the moment, and to go through our portfolios and to show some examples of our successful ongoing and some future collaborations that we're working with as well. And then some of the benefits we found and the challenges that we've had in working collaboratively. Just want to go through our mission, which is something that we keep going back to our work, is really to help foster the growth of cancer trials activity and for scientific research across the island of Ireland, with the long-term aim to really improve survival among Irish cancer patients. And as Mairead pointed out, with the National Cancer Strategy, you know, we are targeted to increase recruitment of patients from 3 to 6% into cancer trials, so it's a significant challenge ahead. And it's something that has really been at our core throughout the 21-year history of Cancer Trials Ireland. So just to give a background for anyone who doesn't know who we are, so it was founded in 1996 under the name ICORG. And we are a not-for-profit organisation. We get support from the Irish State via the HRB. We also get support from the Irish Cancer Society, who's our CEO and clinical lead are at a stakeholder meeting this morning with the Irish Cancer Society. We do also get support from industry and philanthropy as well. There is a long history with research collaborations from the beginning in with the clinical leads and our researchers who set up Cancer Trials Ireland, and we've over 55 links with international institutions and academic institutions internationally. And we are the National Cancer Trials Network. So we do have our membership goes from our radiation, medical and surgical oncologists, hematologists, and all the research specialists at our different sites. Looking for whereabouts we're located, so we are in the central office out in Glasnevin, and we have 6 main hospital sites in Dublin, also represented throughout the country as shown here. There's been a lot of work with our nearest neighbour in Northern Ireland recently in the Northern Irish Cancer Trials Network. Intertrade Ireland in 2015 published a report to show the potential of collaboration, and they identified clinical trials as an area that we could collaborate to have a united approach and to help avoid the fragmentation and to give more possibilities to patients. And this is something that we've been working on with Professor Wilson from the Northern Ireland Cancer Trials Network, coming down to discuss with us possibilities at our recent spring meeting we had. So if you look at the 10-year period about our patients' accruals to our studies, so you've seen in general there's been an increase with over 15,000 patients been involved in Cancer Trials Ireland studies and over 350 studies to date. We have experience in the clinical, we also do translational and in the radiation space to all the different cancer portfolios. If you look at 1 year, 2016, there's been a number of publications and conferences attending, and over 2,400 patients, and 97 open trials and over 55 collaborations. We see then, if you look at 2017, we've increased that to 122 studies open across the different cancer types. The biggest being our paediatric out of Crumlin, and then our breast and our GU area. So the GU area has shown a growth over the last few years, and it's really in that portfolio. I'll give some examples of how the collaboration has really helped. Just to go through the definitions of how we categorise our studies. So we do have our in-house investigator-led studies, where we design the studies, we act as sponsor, and really work from the initiation right through to the monitoring, the management, to the end-of-trial study report. These in-house trials are funded by our grant from the HRB and the Irish Cancer Society, and do receive funding from our industry partners as well. A lot of these trials are based in Ireland, but we do have examples of investigator-led trials that go European-wide, and I'll show an example from our GI portfolio later on. We then have our collaborative trials where we manage and monitor the Irish or the EU arm of these trials, and in some of the studies we are the EU sponsor for the collaborative group. And then thirdly, we have our industry-adopted trial, and that can really vary onto the services that we provide, whether it's student feasibility, if it's promotion, discussing at our sites as well, or sometimes we facilitate referrals and recruitment plans for these studies. So looking at how the division is in our portfolio, you'll see that over 35% of them are collaborative in nature as well. Just a slide to show some of our partners here, and I know some of our partners are here in the room, and really the industry has helped us for these industry-adopted studies and also to provide some valuable funding for our in-house studies as well. The next slide shows some of the examples, and full of abbreviations there I'm not going to go into, but if you look at the top, the ECOG acronym in the US, we've done a lot of studies with them, and we've had our recent head of operations over there last week to look at potentially new studies coming from them. In the UK as well, to Europe, in Belgium, the EORTC, Germany, Spain, and Australia and New Zealand as well that we've worked with. So why do the collaborators look toward Cancer Trials Ireland? I think we are unique in the fact that we can access the national network of the research units around the country and very dedicated investigators, which means that our whole population can be accessed to one single point, which can be attractive to our collaborators. Also, throughout our history, we've shown a capability to lead the design and the conduct of these clinical trials, and is establishing processes and procedures into the operational side of actually running these studies. So just to go through some of the examples of it, and I mentioned I'm going to discuss the GU portfolio under the stewardship of Professor Ray McDermott, where nearly a fifth of our studies are now under this portfolio as well, and it's really shown a growth over the last few years. If we look here at the red being 2018 and the blue being 2012, especially in the prostate area, there's been a target set of 50 patients to be recruited onto this area, and every year we've exceeded it. And a lot of that has got to do with one of our major collaborators that we have for two big phase 3 studies. So this prostate high-risk NZRAD study is the sponsorship by the Australia and New Zealand Urogenital and Prostate Cancer Working Group and the NHMRC based in the University of Sydney. So they asked us to act as a global sponsor in Australia, New Zealand and the US, but Cancer Trials Ireland act as the EU sponsor. So we have sites in Ireland and the UK. And in this study as well, we also work with the EORTC in Belgium, who provide some local support for the mainland Europe sites. So the accrual target, we're still accruing, so that's 733, 173 from to date, and I think about 66, 67 patients from Ireland. There is a sister study as well on first-line metastatic prostate cancer as well, where again we're acting as the EU sponsor of it, and of those 196, there's 81 patients from Ireland. So between those two studies alone, there's over 150 patients on these, and actually these are big phase 3 studies that are usually more collaborative in nature than investigator-led. We also have some upcoming collaborations we have here with the Movember Foundation and the prostate cancer community with the US as well. This is a registry that it's planning to open in Ireland later this year, and there is scheduled to be 300 patients that are going to be involved in it, and it's really something that we're looking to be in these real global collaborations. So that's an example of where we really collaborate, but we do, investigator-lead studies that also needs some international support. And if you look at one of our biggest studies that we have in the GI portfolio, the intestinal was under Professor John Reynolds in St. James's. There is a European-wide phase 3 cancer trial which is looking at esophageal cancer. So the accrual target is 628, so this isn't feasible just in Ireland. So we had to reach out to Europe to really to get collaborators in it. And you would see there from the number of sites that the UK has really supported it with 17 sites. In Denmark, there's one site, and in France. And we've got support from Cancer Research UK as well to support the UK side of it through the University of Southampton who coordinates all the UK work. And then we have hospitals in Copenhagen and in France. And there's talk to open that to more centres in France and to more countries in Europe. The final example is this Colossus study. So this is a translational study that is, again, from Ray McDermott in the metastatic colorectal cancer. And this is funded by the H2020 programme as well. And if you look there, this is going to be opening in 4 sites in Germany and 2 in Spain. The accrual is 163 patients as well. So this is something that, for this study, we're very grateful to have the benefit of a previous experience in a similar study with the HRB and Cancer Trials Ireland, a successful translational study that we had with those, and really got the good foundation for this collaboration, and this is the next study that we're working with them on. So there's a lot up and coming, and with that target to increase our accruals, we really do need our collaborators to help us get there. Obviously, the patients are always first and foremost. If you go back to our mission to try to, overall have the longer-term survival for cancer patients, so you get access to more trials, especially those phase 3 trials that I mentioned, and access to more novel and promising treatments. Also, for the researchers that are members of Cancer Trials Ireland, you get the ability to bring those ideas internationally and to explore new grounds and to find solution to any common and shared problems, with the aim overall to have the highest level of cancer research available for Irish patients. There are a number of challenges with doing this, and which I've divided them here into our infrastructure, competition and time. So, we want to ensure that our studies are run to the highest possible regulatory standards. So equipment, systems, procedures, not only in our central office, but also throughout our hospital sites. We want to have a more integrated approach towards the sites so that we appear more attractive to the international audience. And especially procedures now with GDPR that everyone knows about, in working with sites outside of Ireland and with the US and Australia. It means resource, so resource not only in the sites but in our headquarters to organise this, and also to be the point of contact for our collaborators, to help build the relationships as well, to attend conferences to build those relationships as well. It takes resource from us in our headquarters office. As well, we're facing competition. The funding from some of our international collaborative groups and pharmaceutical companies are contracting due to international competition. And I know Ireland has been able to compete quite successfully so far, but there is a need to continue to create an attractive environment for an international audience. I know members of our operations and leadership teams are working with members here in the audience in working on that. And then time. This is what we hear from our members who are researchers, to get the time to invest into cancer trials research. As well as, we mentioned before about the National Cancer Strategy, it does commit to have more protected time for oncologists to really help them to devote time to the cancer trials research, which is something that we welcome to see. Collaboration is something that we do discuss ongoing in our meetings. We do have these every 4 times a year, these disease-specific subgroup meetings where we meet and go through all the different portfolios. In the last one that we had in the spring, we had the co-chair of the ECOG ACRIN group in the US, Professor O'Dwyer, over, and I'm going to quote now from our clinical lead, Brian Hennessy, who couldn't be here today, but he said this at the end of his presentation about collaboration, that underpinning the need for collaboration is the recognition that cancer is a global issue, and finding solution requires a global effort. We cannot mobilise a global effort without collaboration. So I thought that quote was a good way to end the presentation from what we look at from Cancer Trials Ireland perspective in relation to collaboration. So I want to thank you for your time today, and just our website for any more detail. And also just to mention that we are having an event next Friday morning in Farmley House as well, and hoping to see a lot of the people here attending that event. So thank you again for the opportunity.